Well, I've recently been asked by a friend to have a look at this IT luggage suitcase. There's a bit of trouble with the handle. Apparently, he grabbed it with much enthusiasm and totally detached the handle. So we're going to have a look at it and see what we can do regarding repairing this. It's going to be a delicate repair because we have to consider these. These release the carrier handle. We've got to consider these. We don't want to glue them in situ. It'll just be a total disaster. So we're going to use a few techniques which I'm not even sure if they're going to work out myself. And see if we can glue this one back together. The first thing to consider is we don't want a gap here because it's going to alter the dimensions. And if we remove this, there's a little, that's the release mechanism, what you can see moving. So that's going to need room to operate. I don't want to glue it in situ. That'll render the case useless. There is actually something inside this. I'll have a look at that hopefully when we finish repairing it. So with the case laid down, I'll take an Allen key to this, remove this part of it. There's actually a 10-year warranty with these, but you need to keep your receipt or have an invoice for proof of purchase, so do bear that in mind. Obviously the warranty and proof of purchase is well and truly gone, hence the reason why we're dissecting it. Now, I've got a little test in mind to see if it's strong enough, the quality of the repair. This is quite testing actually. I think I'm going to have my skills tested a little with this. They seem stuck. That didn't work as expected. It's just a bit of friction. I'll take care to leave these rods in. Seems a bit tighter. I've just got the screwdriver in there and levered the tubing up. Oh, we made some progress there. Before gluing anything, it pays to have a dry run just to see how the pieces are going to sit. Because if you're using an epoxy resin, it's going to take some time. So we don't want this basically to be any larger than it was manufactured. We want it nice and tight, which is going to take a bit of achieving. That tends to be the difficult part of epoxy resin adhesive repairs. But we can unscrew it here, which may enable a closer look. Quite long, these screws. We'll go for the exploded view. Delicately does it. See, that's the release mechanism. Pushes the rods down. So that's, if we didn't have that, we would have an easier life with this. What I want to do is find a way of gluing it which keeps the tension off, and possibly adding some reinforcing. Okay, we seem to have had a bit of luck with this handle here. I'll put it back together, and there's a little tube there and a screw there, so I'm going to put that in there. It will screw up something like tighten hold, so that's good news for gluing. We can then put as adhesive on prior to that, and that'll hold things reasonably tight to glue, which I'll be fairly pleased if this works out. So we'll get to the adhesive I'm going to be using. Well, this is my preferred adhesive of choice, JB Weld, and it's got a very strong bond and a tensile strength of in the region of 5,000 pounds per square inch. The best glues seem to be the ones which come in 2 tubes. They're the epoxy resins, anything 1 tube, more like super glue, so we'll just mix out equal quantities of each. I've had this some time. You're meant to get like 20 years out of it, so hopefully it'll do it. I don't know what happened there. Just be sure to put the correct cap on the correct lid. Looks around equal. So I tend to like mixing just with a steel screwdriver. Some people use cocktail sticks. Steel is the my preferred choice. Just a tiny little screwdriver. Just remember to wipe it at the end, because with this on it, you probably need a good chisel to remove it. This is incredibly strong stuff. I like to give it a good mix until it's all the same colour, and we'll go a little bit further than that for good measure. Sometimes it tends to stand proud. I'm not sure if this one does, but definitely other epoxy resins. I've got no end of time to be thorough mixing this. So I'll start with the handle first. I'll just work it in. I like to give it a good scratch. A minute I'll just cover it, but what I want to do is really scratch it in. This is the best time to glue anything, right at the beginning. There's nothing, we don't want to be doing it again. The first gluing is the best opportunity you ever get to do it right. You know, nothing worse than trying to glue a job twice. Ideally we need to do it once and do it right. You could use an epoxy resin for this. I'm just using this because I have it. But this is the go-to glue for me if I need something that's really strong bonding. I would rather you be using this than an epoxy resin. I'll just give it a good scratching. Before we work his way on to the pieces. I've got to exercise some caution here because that's where these rods go. I don't know if you can't see it. These rods here going through this hole. So I've got something in mind to hopefully prevent them getting gummed up. I'm not going to plug them. I'm going to put a bit in there just to reinforce the edge. I'll now attempt to fit this one. Assuming we can get the sides right. I'll get another screwdriver. So I've got another screwdriver. And just nip that up. And then I'll remove a little of the excess so we don't actually need it. And then do with the other side. I'm going to give it a big clean at the end. And I've got room in there to build it up slightly, so I'm not worrying about that. I seem to have just got the quantities about right. Minimal waste here. And the next one. I seem to be doing an excellent job of getting it on my fingers. It's not screwing up for some reason. I don't go pear shape when I've got everything in glue. I use the other screwdriver. That's as tight as I dare go. Not sure about that. Nip this one up slightly. And I'll have a bit of a clean up. So I've got a bit of excess glue here, I'll retrieve. And a hole there. Two go together. I'll just keep scratching bits of excess adhesive off with a view to filling this hole. So once you take a cloth to it, we've had it. And then I think I'll have a clean up of this screwdriver. So I've gave everything a thorough wipe down, and we're just going to clear these holes out. So I've got a matchstick for the purpose of this. It would be possible to drill the holes with the appropriate size drill bit. JB Weld is definitely for drilling. You can make things out of it. I mean, if you've lost a say, a button on a radio, you can fabricate one out of JB Weld. It's a really powerful adhesive. So that's moving a little. I'm not too pleased with that. This side seems to be doing great guns. Have to think of a way of pushing it down for it to cure. This is always the tricky side of repairs. You get your glue on and then you realise there is a gap there which you don't want. So what do? Well, we'll see if this works. Just need to put some force on it. That's the force I need. I need to move that down. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Hopefully this is tight enough. I'm reasonably pleased with that. I think so. All we've got to do now is just wait. Well, we're now 24 hours or more down the line, and it's time to remove these zip ties from the suitcase handle and test the quality of our repair. It's putting up a bit of a fight. I think it's because it was marginally glued on. We'll shuffle that off. So there's a bit of a crack there. We could perhaps mix some more up and fill it. And the hole there, I think this piece came out of it. We could fill that further. So we'll get on with the reassembly. And the moment and truth is becoming ever nearer. Quite fiddly. Quite a bit of force required for this. More than I anticipated. So I'll put the screws back in. So we've got the screws back in, and now it's the moment of truth. If I press here, does it work? And it appears like we're sliding great. So now for a little pull test. Beautiful. And we're surviving. Handle's still intact. We've lifted it up. Excellent. So it begs the question, what does Alan keep in his case? Travel Alan, what does he take with him on holiday? So we've unzipped the case, ready for the final reveal. What's this? Tins? This is Travel Alan's favourite food. Beans. Excellent. So now we've got the case fully operational. We're going to tidy up this repair with a little insulation tape. You'll never know it happened. Thanks for watching. Why not subscribe to learn of more repair possibilities?